Hi friends, welcome to Iibs Ias Academy YouTube channel. I am Ashok, Assistant Professor at Iibs Ias Academy, and I have been training from UPSC aspirants since the past 4 years. In this YouTube channel, we will be covering all the issues important for UPSC Civil Services Examination and also for the state public service examinations. Please do like, share, comment and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you.
Belongs to GS paper 3, Science and Technology, and we are talking about the aquaponics facility, right? Aquaponics facility. So when you see the term aqua means water, right? So what is this aquaponics facility? The aquaponics is the facility where all the plants are actually grown without the use of soil, right? A pilot aquaponics facility has been developed by the Center for Development of Advanced Computing, CDAC, right? Center for Development of Advanced Computing at Mohali at Guru Anand Dev Veterinary University, Ludhiana, right? So what is this aquaponic facility? This technique will help the farmer in increasing the productivity of the land and also augment its income. So the aquaponics, if we adopt this particular facility, so within the less space we will get the more yield. And the state-of-art facility is equipped with advanced sensors for monitoring and automated controls. Because we will not be using any soil, but we will be using the liquid and also the minerals which are essential for the plants to grow, and they have to be associated with the sensors, right? Whenever the water table is reducing, so the water has to be filled. Whenever the mineral resources are being reduced, the mineral has to be added. And it has been developed with the funding support from the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, the Government of India. The facility is nearly 100% organic and need much less land, right? It is 100% organic, no chemical fertilizers are being used over here, and need much less land and gives yield of the crop and consumes 90% less water, right? Agriculture is one sector which uses most amount of the water, and the water transpires into the atmosphere. The fish and plant also grown are more nutritious. You can also grow the fish and as well as the plants. And as the demand for the fishes and the crops is increasing rapidly in the urban areas, this is the type of a system which is very helpful to increase the farmer's income. As you can see the image here, how it is being done, right? The hydroponic tank, they connected to the fish tank, and the sediment tank, water pump, air pump, and the biofilter. So everything, the entire system is the aquaponics facility. So what is aquaponics, right? It is a combination of aquaculture and the hydroponics, right? It is a combination of aquaculture and the hydroponics. So we will be raising the fish along with the vegetables. And what is hydroponics? Hydroponics is the practice of growing plants without soil. Hydroponics is the practice of growing plants without the soil. And the aquaponics is an emerging technique in which both fishes as well as the plants are grown in an integrated manner. And the fish waste provides the fertilizers for growing plants, which is very important, right? Whatever the fish waste is, or the fish excrete which is present, the excrete will be carried to the plants for their absorption. The plants absorb nutrients and filter the water, and the filtered water is used to replenish the fish tank. It is a cyclic process, because of which it uses about 90% less water. And you can have the main question over here. What is the difference between hydroponics and the aquaponics? They mention the merits and demerits associated with the hydroponics. Okay. And the next topic is Human Cost of Disasters 2019 report. It comes under Disaster Management, GS paper 3, right? It comes under GS paper 3. So you can see here, the disasters are geophysical, hydrological, meteorological, climatological, biological, extraterrestrial, right? You can see the image here in which areas the disasters are actually happening. And when you compare the data from 1980 to 1999 to 2000 to 2019, you can see the increase in all the disasters, all the types of disasters, right? Increase in all the types of disasters over the years 2000 2019. And who is to blame for all the natural disasters in the past 20 years? So obviously climate change and ultimately the humans, right? The report is published by the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, and it did not touch on biological hazards and disease related disasters like the pandemic. And what are the highlights? About 7,348 major disaster events had occurred between 2000 and 2019, affecting about 4.2 billion people and costing the global economy of $2.97 trillion. This is the global economic burden because of the natural disasters, which can easily be prevented if the climate change is taken care of. The figure is far more than 4,212 major natural disasters recorded between 1980 to 1999. The sharp increase was largely attributed to the rise of climate-related disasters, including extreme weather events like flood, droughts, and storms. And this is an important point. India is the second most affected country by the floods after China. Right? India is the second most affected country because of the floods after China. And deadliest single disaster was tsunami, which happened in 2004. And we have to know about the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. It is created in December 1999. It's the success of the Secretariat of the International Decade for the National Disaster Reduction. And UNDRR, United Nations Office for the Disaster Risk Reduction, is the United Nations focal point for disaster risk reduction, as the term says. And it oversees the implementation of Sendai framework, which is very important for films. Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction 2015-2030, adopted by third United Nations World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction, which happened in 2015, Sendai, Japan. Okay, so what is this Sendai framework? The Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction 2015-2030 was the first major agreement of the post-2015 development agenda, and provides member states with concrete actions to provide development gains from the risk of disaster. Right? It is a 15-year voluntary and non-binding agreement. So non-binding agreement in the sense, if you want to follow the agreement, you can follow. If you do not want to ratify the agreement, you do not have to ratify. It is a non-binding agreement. It recognizes the states has the primary role to reduce the disaster risk. It works hand in hand with the other 2030 agenda agreements, including the Paris Agreement on the climate change and the Addis Ababa Action Agenda and on the financing and development, and the new urban agenda, and ultimately the sustainable development goals. Right? It works hand in hand with all the other programs which deals with the climate change and the development and financing aspects, and also sustainable development goals. The framework is the successor instrument to the HYGO framework for action 2005-2015, building a resilience of nations and communities to disasters. So what is this HFA, the HYGO framework of action? The goal is to substantially reduce the disaster losses by 2015 and building the resilience of nations and communities to disasters. So we have to face the disasters, and we have to make sure there is a reduced losses because of all the natural disasters. And the next one, opposition. Right? It belongs to paper 3, Science and Technology. So what is this opposition? Right? So it related to the Mars, the planet, and it is an event referred to as opposition, which takes place every 2 years. The opposition is an event which takes place 2 years, and for 2 months the Mars will outshine Jupiter. Jupiter is one of the shiniest stars and the planets, and the Mars will outshine Jupiter because the Mars comes closer to that of the Earth, and also they are aligned uniformly in a single direction, becoming the third brightest object. Right? Becoming the third brightest object, the first one being the moon, and the second one being the Venus, right? And the third being the Mars during the month of October. And the opposition can occur anywhere along the Mars orbit, but it happens when the planet is closest to the sun. When the planet comes closest to the sun, and when it comes closer to the sun, it also comes closer to the Earth. And this year, while the Mars closest approach to the Earth was on October 6th, the opposition will happen on October 13th, which will give the planet its biggest apparent size of 2020s. Right? And what is opposition? It is an event when the Sun, Earth, and the outer planet, the Mars, are lined up with the Earth in the middle. So they are completely aligned in a single direction. The time of opposition is a point where the outer planet is typically also at its closest distance to the Earth for a given year. It becomes the closest. And then because it is the closest, it becomes the brightest. An opposition can occur anywhere along the Mars orbit, but when it happens, when the planet is the closest to the Sun and also particularly close to the Earth, right? So why the word opposition? Because from the perspective of the Earth, the Sun and the Mars appear to be on the opposite sides of the sky. So the Mars is said to be in opposition, right? This is the why we use the word opposition. And we have the prelims questions which are associated with the current affairs which we have given. And please go through the prelims questions and practice those questions. And you will get the current affairs magazine as well. And in the current affairs magazine, so the first all the current affairs will be there, and finally the prelims, all the prelims questions associated with the current affairs of that particular month will be given in the back. And please practice those questions. And to access this particular document, visit iibsias.com.
Please do like the video, and if you have any queries, please put down in the comments below and we'll be making videos on those areas. And please click on the bell icon and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you.